Rising Hopper!
A jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again with another episode of Toku For Two.
Although, this is actually a different episode of Toku For Two. This is actually Toku For Two plus you.
Plus you, yeah. And that plus you today is Marcosatsu from Marcosatsu on YouTube.
Hello.
Hey, that's me. Hi. Hey, welcome. Thank you for welcoming me to Toku For Two plus one.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, seriously, man. We have been watching your videos, and we just wanted someone that we could actually talk to that just wouldn't be absolutely bored by us talking to them about this. So we figured we could reach out and hopefully someone would actually, want to speak to us.
Oh, man. Well, ironic as it's going to sound, I can talk nonstop about this if I have like a script in front of me and my videos are like 3 hours long and I can talk about Kamen Rider forever. But if it's with someone else, I don't know, I get a little more shy. So
No, it's okay. That's how I am with my wife. Usually, like, when I'm watching something, I, keep a lot to myself, and I'll text Sean, hey, this is what's happening in the show.
Pretty much. And then, he tried to explain all of his issues with Shin Kamen Rider, and she was like, well, that sucks for you. Sorry, honey.
Yeah, that was a rough day for me. I know you share the same opinion as I do, Marco, with Shin Kamen Rider, and I wasn't really happy with it at all.
Yeah, for sure. In the grand scheme of things, it's good for its own thing. I'm glad a lot of people enjoy it, but for us, it's not our thing.
Yeah, I was super hot off the heels of Shin Ultraman. I love that movie, and I love the video you did on it. That whole hour-long video. And I fell in love with that movie, and I watched it over and over. And then Shin Kamen Rider felt really flat for me a lot. It was just kind of upsetting because I was really looking forward to that more than anything.
I turned to him in the movie theater and he just kept putting his hands over his head because he just wasn't having it.
So, Marco, tell us. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I guess real quick, the biggest thing is that Hideaki Anno, who directed all the Shin movies, well, he co-directed the Shin Ultraman one. With Shin Ultraman, he actually passed a lot of his thoughts and main duties towards someone else. So it was more someone else's vision than his. But then when it came to Kamen Rider, it was almost purely him. And you can really see it, especially if you watch Evangelion. You can really see the fast-pacedness of Shin Kamen Rider and how different it is compared to Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, that is true,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you into Toku?
Oh, man. I really like telling this story because it's one of the most basic stories you could tell. Growing up, most of us in America or even the Western circle grew up with Power Rangers and all that, and I'm no different. I grew up with Power Rangers. Specifically, I grew up with Power Rangers Turbo, which is weird because I was born around the time of Mighty Morphin, but I watched more Turbo than anything. I didn't even watch Zeos, weirdly enough. But, I just loved Power Rangers growing up, and around where I lived in my area, there's a lot of bootleg toys, so I just begged my parents for, these bootleg Power Ranger toys and stuff like that, and eventually my love just kept growing from there. Power Rangers, that was basically all I loved as a kid. But around high school, I stopped everything with that. You grow out of stuff, like Power Rangers, Pokemon, and we all get that feeling, but then after high school, during college, as an adult, I just started Googling, or around high school, actually, I started Googling again, this Power Rangers thing I really like. And then I saw Linkaro's History of Power Rangers, and then and then that gave me a suggestion for the 199 Great Hero Battle ending, where it had all the Super Sentai, Gokaiger songs and suits, and that really was what started it. I was just so blown away by all these quote unquote Power Rangers that I never knew of before, and all this new stuff that I've never heard of. But it was just so cool looking. So then from there, I just loved tokusatsu and got into Kamen Rider. A little bit of Ultraman years later. Garo is a big one. I tell everybody to watch. Legend Hero is my main thing. So yeah, I just Power Rangers into Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and then unfortunately I made a channel after that too.
That's a pretty good turnaround.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I grew up watching a lot of Turbo, and I just rewatched it not too long ago, and it doesn't hold up, but it's still the nostalgic thing for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I was born, 93, so Mighty Morphin was out already, but grew up a lot of Turbo. Same deal. I think I stopped into middle school, and then I came back around during Wild Force, and we would go to vacation to Colombia, and I would watch a lot of Spanish, like Power Rangers episodes, which was really cool.
Yeah, I can't really say the same on that end because unfortunately I wasn't that as cultured as that. I did start off with Mighty Morphin though. I was able to go ahead and see like the different tours that they had back when they were doing like different stage tours for like Mighty Morphin back in the day, where you got to see it all on the big screen and had like the different suit actors out in front. Started off with that, ended up into Beetleborgs and VR Troopers. But my favorite one of all time is Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, and I'm glad that it's finally coming back around with Gridman. But yeah, I kind of fell off like towards the end of middle school as well, because that was around the time when Lost Galaxy came out. I remember thinking, even though it was such a warped way of thinking at the time, that, oh, somebody died in Lost Galaxy. I think this might be a little too adult for me. Even though I was at the end of middle school, and I was busy playing things like Final Fantasy VII where people are dying left and right, so it really didn't matter as much. But then I just kind of fell out until, I guess, probably the Power Rangers movie, where like the reboot, where everything just kind of picked back up for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, yes, it is.
A lot of people like crap on it, and I really like that movie a lot. I remember watching that in theaters, and I was pretty blown away by it. It felt like an actual episode, like just a drawn-out episode, honestly, because all the action kind of happened at the end, but I was really okay with it.
Oh, yeah. And it had the camp that it needed, too.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I was saying, over the last few years, I think I've gotten more into Kamen Rider than anything. I just kind of rediscovered it, I think, like 2 years ago. Because you brought up Linkara, which is interesting, because that's how I found your page, Marco. And it was like how you should how you should watch Kamen Rider, like the intro to it. That's what I watched. And you're just like, pick whatever series. And then that's when I just dove into Double. And I love Double. Double's amazing.
Double is the easiest to recommend since it is basic, but in a good way. It really teaches or introduces you to this world of Kamen Rider with how serious it can be, but it's still silly, and the characters are just so fantastic, and it has a good story. It's just overall a very good show, so the Double is a very good gateway into it.
Yeah, I remember seeing like Black and Black RX growing up, but I never was able to like find a way to watch it. Like, we didn't really have access to internet like that. Yeah, 2 years ago, I was able to finally figure out how to watch these shows, and Double really blew my mind with how, like, awesome it was. And then I ended up going to... I watched Kuga, because Kuga was on Tubi, and I actually really enjoyed Kuga. I know it's got its ups and downs, but it was an overall good season.
Yeah, it's good. I like it too. Not as much as other people, but it is a very good show. And
I've been trying to convince Sean here to watch some season with me, but he's been doing everything else but that.
It's what happens when your anxiety is high, full with everything else on your plate, but, whatever. The only Kamen Rider that I've actually, besides Shin Kamen Rider, that I've watched would have been Masked Rider when it was introduced to the States, and... I know that was butchered all up to hell, but that's really all that I've had experience with. I did try reading the Kuga manga. Ugh, that was rough.
Yeah, he showed me photos of it, and Yusuke looks like an Overwatch character. It's kind of weird.
It's a shame, because I personally like the Kuga manga, and it does get very, very good later when it crosses over with Agito. But it's been a slow burn trying to get a proper translation here in America. The Volume 3, I think, is the latest one that's out, and it's pretty good, but it's been rough just trying to find them and try to be able to read them.
So, with that Volume 3 manga that's out, is the translation getting any better since Volume 1? Because that's what pretty much put me off a little bit.
Yeah, there's actually been reissues of Volume 1 with better translations, and they are slightly better, I'll admit. So overall, the quality is getting there. It's just unfortunate it happened in the first place,
Yeah, I know. Sean said he was going to let me borrow it next time I see him.
Oh, I'm just going to straight up give it to you.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. I need shelf space.
I really enjoyed watching your videos, Marco. They've been I think that's kind of one of the catalysts was to like wanting to start this podcast, because I like how like informative it was, how like fun it was and everything like that. And getting Sean into it recently, he's like, man, this makes our podcast look so inadequate.
Not only that, but I did say, oh my god, I feel inferior, but that's a whole other ball game.
Oh man, no, you shouldn't feel that way. Like I'm kind of embarrassed of some of my first videos, and even like the very first like History of Kamen Rider Kuga and Agito. Like those were rough, and I and they're still up if anybody wants to watch those. But man, like if someone ever says like, "Oh, you inspired me," I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my really bad videos are still there. They inspired you."
Yeah, I remember what I was doing once I finished Double. I went and watched your episode of History of Kamen Rider Double, and I've been doing that with every season I've been watching. I think last one I did was Decade. I finished Decade not too long ago, and that was kind of a rough watch for me. But I'd liked your video on it more. I'd watch like 20 episodes and then watch a little bit of yours to catch up with mine, just to see like where we were in opinion. And right now I'm currently in the middle of, I'm like 10 episodes in on Agito, so it's Kuga Part 2 with more mystery.
Yeah, in the beginning it is, but then later it does become its own thing, and it does become very good, like on its own merit.
Yeah. Are you keeping up with anything current right now? Man,
so I know I'm like the Toku guy, more so the Kamen Rider guy, but I'm really bad when it comes to like keeping up with shows, because it takes me a lot to like get in the mental space of like, okay, I gotta sit down, I gotta watch this for like a video. That's why History of Kamen Rider takes so long, because I just don't want to sit down and watch a video or a show. So when it comes to something current, I have to get into a different headspace of like, okay, I gotta watch this for fun on my own for 30 minutes, not have to review it, and I have to sit down and enjoy this. And it takes a lot. So currently, I'm like 12 episodes into Geats, and it's almost done. I'm like 8 episodes into King Oger.
Yes, thank you for being as behind as I am.
Yeah, it's they are good shows. I will admit, like Geats and King Oger have been fantastic from what I've seen. I just don't want to sit down and take the time to watch them. But I watched Blazar, or Ultraman Blazar, twice. Once by myself and once with my wife. And it was really good. I think Blazar had a really good debut, especially since it has like 4 million views at this point, which is fantastic for Ultraman.
Good gravy.
But the other big two, yeah, it is crazy. Like it had more views faster than Ultraman Z did in its debut. And yeah, I just think we're in a very good space right now for the shows. Geats, King Oger, Blazar. It's that they're all 3 of them are very, very good, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm caught up right now on King Oger. I've been watching that religiously every Sunday, and it's gotten nothing. Yeah, I know. It's gotten nothing but better. Like each episode, I think last episode actually made me tear up. How good it got. I just watched Blazar
me like around 10:30 at night, saying, I don't know if it's because of anything that I'm on right now or what, but number 19 is literally the best episode of King Oger.
Something to look forward to.
And I keep telling them, I'm like, this is the best episode so far. And I've said that for like the last, like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And I just watched Blazar today. I enjoyed it. It was cool. I'm excited to see more of it, though. I know it's a little slow to begin with, but it was a good episode.
Yeah, for sure.
I still got to watch Geats. I haven't had a chance to, but I keep seeing a lot of Kamen Rider like Gotchard stuff come up, and I'm like, man, I gotta just jump into it now.
Yeah, it's cool to keep up with shows, especially if you want to keep up with the discussions every week, which is great. I think it's one of the best fandom experience you can have, especially with tokusatsu. Yep. But it's also not the most necessary thing. You can watch at your own pace. You can keep up with forums if you want to. So it's always up to your own discretion.
Oh yeah.
No, I've been struggling to get Sean to keep up with King Oger just because I want somebody to talk to about it.
I'll get there. All right, tell you what, since it's my birthday this weekend, I'll do it for you as a mission.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I'm getting old. But did you see the new Godzilla trailer?
-1.
Yes.
Yeah. There wasn't really much to see. It was like a minute long, I think, and they only showed Godzilla like at the end.
Oh yeah.
But I have been keeping up with some of the bit of news that there has been, and I'm so excited for it. I love Godzilla. As much as I don't talk about it, I do like kaiju stuff. So Godzilla, I'm very excited to see how they're gonna follow up with Shin Godzilla, since that was just like a masterpiece on its own. It's gonna be really interesting to see how they can either top that or at the very least do something incredibly different.
When that trailer came out, I think I watched it like 4 times in a row just because I was so amazed by that. Just that small little teaser trailer. I was at work and I remember seeing it, and I was just like, I kind of hid in a small corner and watched it.
And then he like starts coming out of the corner, still has his eyes glued on the phone and bumps into people.
And like I had to send it to you and like our other friends. I was like, man, like you guys have to see this trailer now. Yeah, I love.
Didn't watch it until 11 o'clock at night.
You didn't? No, you took all day. But yeah, I love Shin Godzilla was like my first like I've always watched Godzilla, but Shin Godzilla brought me back to that franchise. I kept seeing like reviews on how good it was until I finally sat down and watched it, and literally within the month I ended up buying all the Godzilla movies on VHS, and I ran through all those again to rewatch them just because like it put me back on that kick.
Didn't Ryan get you like a box of VHSs?
I sent him a box, so I would buy them sometimes in lots. And this is when me and Ryan were first, being friends, and I would just send him stuff. Just here's a box of VHS tapes.
Oh wow, that's good though. Godzilla VHSs, they can be hard to come by, but like if you can buy as much as you can, like it's just good to watch them again, especially the classic ones. Like you have to watch those classic ones on like a VHS on like these really old like CRT TVs to get the real experience.
It's cool. My copy of Destroy All Monsters has a cool promo commercial for Evangelion, and it's got like this orchestra music. Ooh. And that like I remember watching that late at night, and I was like, man, that's so cool. And then the movie was kind of okay, but I was like, I'm just glad I have this tape. I think that one for some reason was like the longest one for me to get because like I could never find it on eBay, and then one day out of nowhere I just found it, and I just like I need it now. And I ended up buying it. Luckily, it was like under $10.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Wow. So when it comes to anything involving, because obviously we already talked about like TV shows, what would be the one that you would recommend the most for somebody as like a newbie for anything tokusatsu related? Like obviously you've got your Sentai, you've got your Kamen Rider, but if you want somebody who's never really experienced it before, what would be your go-to recommendation?
That's always a case-by-case basis.
That's true.
If you want like a specific recommendation, I would always ask like, what are you into? Like, what are your favorite like quote-unquote themes? Because there's like detective themes, motifs. There's like mysteries. There's more horror. There's more adult. Anything like that. But as a general recommendation, Kamen Rider is like the easiest thing to get into with how much history there is with it and how much variety there is for Kamen Rider. You can pretty much just sit someone down and watch an episode or two of like any show and they'll probably catch on to it. But double O's and 4Z are always the go-to to recommend. Because like I said earlier, they are basic, but they are like very good, and they are very good with his characters and stories. I think Ultraman is another easy one to recommend to get into tokusatsu generally, especially since Blazar and Zed have English dubs, so that's a lot easier for other people to get into. But that's also if people can get past the whole giant monster thing, because not everybody's into that. The whole like rubber suits, Godzilla-esque like monster wrestling fights. Some people would be into that. Others, I've seen people in person like not be into that. But so that's why I always gravitate towards Kamen Rider. Super Sentai is good too, especially if someone's grown up with Power Rangers. It is easy to just say, "Oh, what's your favorite Power Ranger season?" Well, you can watch the Japanese version of that, or like unless it's like G Ranger. I think G Ranger is like super boring. And I don't think anyone's gonna get into Toku from like Mighty Morphin through to G Ranger. Yeah,
I was not expecting that. That was probably going to be one of the next ones I watch.
Oh, my bad.
Nah, it's all right. We're having a little bit of a rough go when it comes to Ultra Q every now and then.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've been.
Oh yeah,
that's what we've been kind of watching for the podcast, and it's been. You'll have like really good episodes, and then you'll have the episodes where you're just like, I could just fall asleep right now. Always very goofy.
The only thing that I can really say is that when it comes to there being, I basically have like certain parameters. When it comes to this show, I have certain things that I have critiques on, and one of them is being if there's any kids involved, I know that it's more than likely going to be an awful episode. For some reason, they end up not focusing on actual plot and just trying to focus on antics for the kids instead, and it just doesn't play very well for the actual either kaiju or for like any of the ultra-file episodes or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's how G-Ranger is.
Yeah, but that's one show I want to start a Super Sentai season. I mean, I'm in the middle of King Oger, but I was thinking about that or like, I don't know, what's the other one? I keep seeing it now a lot, Tokuger. Just because
that's a good one.
The train motif is such a weird one that it pulled me in, and I'm like, I'm interested. So I maybe watch that after Agito just to break up my Kamen Rider runner a little bit.
I was kind of interested in Dawn Brothers based on the little few clips that I've seen.
I haven't seen that yet.
I'll show you some stuff after this.
Well, like I've seen how they look because some of it's just like animated, right? It's like CGI because that was during 2020, right? Wasn't that during like the height of COVID? So that makes sense. I'll definitely have to look into that more.
Yeah, Dawn Brothers was only last year. A couple other Rangers are CG.
What's interesting about the way that they handle King Oger is the fact that they don't do too much CG. You can kind of tell with the way that they do the Shoe Gods a little bit. I just like the way that they handle everything else, though. With the way that how it's still stylish, but it doesn't look entirely fake as how it would normally look in a traditional Power Rangers season. If you understand my meaning.
Yeah, the whole set's like a CGI thing. They're behind they're in front of a green screen, which is a little odd at times, but it looks cool.
Yeah.
Like there's some parts like with the castle and Suga Dam, it looks really nice.
The only other question that I could think of is when it comes to anything involving your hobbies regarding tokusatsu, is there anything video game-wise that you enjoy?
Video games?
Yeah, like have you ever played any of the Godzilla games or the Ultraman games or the Kamen Rider games?
Oh, right. Okay, so, man, I as much as I am a video game guy, I don't really touch the tokusatsu genre for them, or the toku medium. Beautiful Joe is a good one, I think. But that's more like Toku adjacent. I've been recommended, Chroma Squad, like countless times, but I just can't get into like the turn-based RTS style of that game. One of my favorite Toku games is Kamen Rider Super Climax Heroes.
Oh, I was just looking
It's for
into
the
that
Wii
the
and
other
PSP.
Day. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best Kamen Rider game, or one of the best at the very least. A ginormous roster, tons of Kamen Riders. The balance is not balanced at all, but that's what makes it fun. It's just so much. It's just a great time. I love playing and matching up against these Kamen Riders. And the best part to me is that every single rider, or at the very least like the seasonal riders, they have their own like gimmicks to them that is incorporated into the gameplay. You can switch out the medals for O's and have like any combination you want. You can play like the Kabuto riders and like clock up, and then the whole gameplay will just slow down except for you. Yeah, it's a very good time. I love Super Climax Heroes. Super Climax Heroes. I have played the other Rider ones, but I don't really have much to say about them, especially like Climax Fighters and Climax Scramble. I'm not into like the arena fighter games, so they weren't for me. I still have them just to collect them, but yeah, not for me. Memory of Heroes is a very good one, though. I can recommend that easily to anyone who has a PS4 and Switch. The story is really good for a Rider game, and it's an action adventure, which makes it different, and that already sets it apart from the other fighters. The older ones are actually kind of fun too if you're into more of the arcadey beat 'em up 2D style. Like the Super Nintendo Ichigo game is actually kind of fun. I actually like it a lot. The NES one's like classic. Yeah, they're old games. You can kind of imagine how they would be. But the main one I really like is called Seigi no Keifu for the PS2. It's an Agito game, but it's also a crossover with Ichigo, and it's really cool. It's like a Resident Evil style Kamen Rider game where it's like isometric 3D, and it's more of a puzzle game, and it's really cool. There's no English translations, unfortunately, so you can't really get the most out of it since it is puzzle based, but it is a lot of fun, and I love it. I wish there was another game in that way, but it is there if anybody knows Japanese or just wants to power through it.
Didn't they make a PS2 Kuga game? I feel like somebody told me.
Yeah. A lot of the older 2000s through like 2010 Kamen Rider video games, or at least to like 2006, I want to say. A lot of those were just side-scroller beat-em-ups, or at least just like very basic fighters. Kuga, Hibiki, Kabuto, Fives, all those standalone ones, they were just fighters, and they only had like 5 characters to play as, so they're alright.
Those could still be fun, though. I like a good fighter game, good beat-em-up game every now and again.
Yeah, for sure. And it is cool to see a game focused on them.
What other video games are you interested in? What else do you really play a lot of?
I've just like music, I do a little of everything. Even like my homepage right now on my computer, there's like Marvel Snap and Resident Evil 2, Yu-Gi-Oh, Fortnite, right next to Borderlands 3 and Valorant and Pokemon. So I just have a good variety of games. I mostly focus on online games to play with my friends. I stick to Fortnite and Smite for the most part. But yeah, I've played pretty much all the big name games you can think of. League of Legends, Valorant, Minecraft. But Smite and Fortnite are the ones I just stick to the most. I know
you mentioned it on Twitter. You played 14, right? Or you have a cycle of playing 14.
Yeah. I like Final Fantasy a lot. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do like it. Kingdom Hearts is like my favorite game of all time.
Thank you.
But I do like Final Fantasy enough. Yeah, and I like 14. It's just hard to get people to play with since everyone's busy, and I don't want to spend $20 a month for nothing, you know?
Oh no, I understand that all too well. It's gotten to the point where with 14, I will basically power through it as quickly as I can for a month, and then just sideline it until I like loop back around to it for whenever the next expansion comes up on my backlog list. It just takes a whole lot out of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, our friends have been trying to get me to play it. And I'll get to it eventually. I don't know. I haven't really found a video game that's stuck yet. Like, I've been kind of playing random games every now and again. Well, maybe one day. I know 16 just came out. Sean beat 16 in like a matter of hours. And I'll get to that soon.
I mean, I took a vacation off for it, so that was the only reason why I was able to do that. But yeah, that was a delight.
Oh man, I've been wanting to play 16 also, but for me that's like a $700 game because I gotta have a PS5. Yep. And
yeah, I get that. Yeah,
at that point you gotta like figure out if you really want to justify that. So I understand that.
I have a friend who asked me. He's like,
it's all good.
I had a friend who asked me if he could borrow my PS5. I was like, I play it too much. I'm sorry, because he wanted to play 16.
It does look good though. Like I watched some gameplay of it, and it is a gorgeous game. I want to, if I could, I would buy that like right now.
I will say, I mean, this isn't going to spoil anything, but there is a Toku reference in 16.
Dang, now I want to play it even more.
Yeah, it's specifically a Kamen Rider reference, but that's all I'll say.
Kamen Rider reference.
Yeah.
All more the reason to get it now.
Yeah.
I remember you
I've
texted
been
me that.
really wanting to show Christian like this particular clip, but then I'm like, that would actually ruin the entire scene. I don't want to do it. It's just so cool.
Back to Riders for a second. Who would you think is like your favorite? Say top 3 Riders, because I know it's kind of hard to pin down.
Like shows or characters?
Characters. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's easy. Kamen Rider Decade, Haruka, Kamen Rider Amazon's Omega / him, and dang it, I said it was so easy. Now I'm blanking on the third one. Dang, I have a video about this. I'm writing it right now, so let me just look at my list here real quick. Oh, and Zoronos, Sakura Yuto from Den-O.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. You said Decade. Yeah, because like I'd say Decade's probably one of mine. Decade, Kamen Rider Gatak from Kabuto, and probably I don't know why. I think it's just because of his design. Kamen Rider Skull from Double.
Oh yeah.
I've been building like the Figurized standard models, and when that one got announced, I got so excited. I was waiting for the day to pre-order it. It came with the briefcase and everything, and you could put all the memories in there. All the Gaia memories in the briefcase.
Oh, I love when they do that. I know they're doing that for Fives also with like a whole briefcase, like a replica, and it's so cool.
Yeah. Right now I'm in the middle of building Wizard, and you could do the ring. You could change the different the ring colors. What are they, like flame style?
Yeah.
I'm almost done with it now. It's been a day, but
yeah, I love those too. They're great.
Do you have any kind of particular show from like the American side of tokusatsu that you have like a fond memory of?
Aside from Power Rangers, not really. Like, I knew about Beetleborgs and VR Troopers and all that. I just never really went out of my way to watch them. I caught promos and probably an episode or two of Dragonite when that was airing, but I don't know. Like, my little kid brain just didn't click with it like it did with Power Rangers. So, not really. Not many memories, if at all.
That's understandable. I mean, if you tried watching them now, they're definitely not going to hold up. That's honestly what's putting me off from actually trying to watch Beetleborgs, because that was supposed to be on my next show that I was going to watch for the American side of stuff, but like, after getting through Lost Galaxy, I needed a break.
Yeah, it is a lot to watch through one after another. With the American shows, at least, they start to feel a little samey, so then you get burnt out easier.
Yeah, and with the way that I was burning through them really quick, because I ended up going through Turbo within about like a couple weeks, and then I did Space in a span of a week, and then Lost Galaxy, that one took a lot longer, mainly because once I realized what it was doing, I despised it, and every single episode was a chore.
Oh,
I still
man.
haven't finished it. I need to one day.
Yeah, he originally started loving it, and then as soon as I mentioned, you know what, this show's not hitting it, and he's like, you know what, you're right.
Like I tell him, I think it's the Galactabeast that drew me in growing up, because I love the way the designs were for the Galactabeasts, and watching it now, they still look cool, but just the overall plot and character development just isn't really working for me right now.
Yeah, designs do hold up, though. They're very
Yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite design so far has been, at least from the shows that I've watched, has absolutely been the Astro Megazord from space. That thing just rocks.
Oh, yeah, I love the Zord, the Astro Zord.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I know I've been trying to get Sean to watch like a writer season. I was telling him maybe try Forze, because it's the same writer as Gurren Lagann, I believe, and I know he loves that show a lot. So I figured he might like Forze a lot more too, or he'd like Forze too because of that.
Well, it was a toss between that or Build, because Build, obviously, I really like the idea of the model kit stuff.
Yeah. Well, if you like Gurren Lagann, the writer for that also wrote Forze. Well, like you said. So, like, it's actually a lot of fun. I would recommend Forze. It's a very fun one. But Build is, like, a masterpiece of a show on its own. Even aside from Kamen Rider, it is just a very, very good show. Easy recommendation.
Awesome. Then I'll definitely be looking forward to that one. You mentioned Garo earlier. Why do you like Garo so much?
It mostly comes down to taste, and a lot of my taste. You might be able to catch on to my personal biases, and a lot of it is towards the more mature and darker tones of shows. That's why I like Amazons and Black Sun and darker shows like that. And Garo is probably like the quote unquote adult show that has pretty much everything I want. The action is so good. The suits the suits you do see in the show are gorgeous. They are fantastic. But those are just bonuses. What I go for in the show are the characters and the story, and Garo is like the peak for me when it comes to the tone and the presentation and how quote unquote something dark can be without being like too edgy or out there for someone to really enjoy. My wife isn't really into tokusatsu. I will show her like a show or two, and she just immediately fell in love with Garo. For pretty much the same reasons. The characters were really good. The action was really good. But to me, it's just like a show I can recommend to anybody who wants to get into tokusatsu. It is just overall near perfection. There are issues I have with it, but they're incredibly minor compared to the whole show. And not just like Garo. I know I'm saying Garo, but I'm more meaning season 1. But the rest of Garo is also really good. Like the movies, every single movie has been good as far as I've seen. Garo vs. Road is a fantastic show, still one of my favorites, and that barely has like any Garo things in it. It is just like a really good show on its own. So yeah, it's just a lot of the stuff I like in Toku. Action, character, story, designs, pretty much perfected in Garo. If I had more time, I would be a Garo-focused channel. but Kamen Rider has my attention pretty much for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, though. I definitely will give that a shot. I've been getting... The older I get, the more I want to have more of a more focused and more mature-oriented show or more mature-oriented writing. So in terms of, like, when it comes to, like, books or manga or anime in general, Like I've been starting to get into the more like Go Nagai type stuff. So I've been looking into like a
Oh,
Devilman and
yeah.
Getter Robo, and ultimately I'm gonna end up looking at Cutie Honey because I've got a few things of that I owned. I just haven't actually taken the time to look into yet. But it's mainly due to that stuff that I really want to find something that's akin to that.
The Cutie Honey live action movie, which is basically tokusatsu, it is also really, really good. I love the action and how fast paced it is.
I definitely want to give that a try.
You touched on a little bit Black Sun. That's another show I know Sean would like. I really enjoyed that. I didn't expect it to be as like darker and more like gory, I guess, for like a writer show.
Yeah, it is incredibly different, even compared to like Amazon's Ingaro. It is incredibly. I can't even describe it. Like even my own videos, it was kind of hard to talk about. It is very mature for what it's trying to do, and it is a good show in my opinion. But a lot of people have more issues about it than I ever would say. So if you're interested in it, I would absolutely say to go for it. But keep your expectations a little down there, just so you don't like get bored too quickly or too like, okay, there's getting too in my face. I'm tired of it.
I mean, I don't know if anything can really compete with that with Ultra Q at this point, so I think we've got a good precedent so far.
Yeah, I remember.
It's funny.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, but it's funny you guys talk about Ultra Q like that because that's how a lot of old toku are. They are very goofy. That's just kind of how it was at the time. They are very just like not modern standards. So yeah, Ultra Q is its own thing, and I understand what you guys are getting at. It is a bit of a slow burn at times, but other times it is super fun, and I love the mystery and the black and white settingness of it, and on the ultra monsters. They're very good. So I'm glad you guys are at least enjoying some of it.
Oh yeah, I think the ones, and I think Christian can actually agree with me on this one, the ones that are really, really good and they happen to stand out are the ones where they tend to go really weird with it. Like, what was that one called? The 1/8 Project?
Oh, yeah. So, like, when they essentially just take, like, a group of people that can apply for it and just make them smaller. And that was such a good episode. That really was, like, a true, like, Twilight Zone episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything about it was just... It was basically, like, looking at it as a reverse kaiju kind of scenario where you have, like, the main characters... They are trying to find the main woman of the show, and she's already been shrunk down to, 1/8 size. And as they're going to this little town, they are the kaiju in this respect, and it's actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
I think I had one other question. So, when it comes to anything involving movies, like any kind of like tokusatsu movies, obviously you have your general series, like the Kamen Rider, or I don't know if any of like the Sentai shows have gotten any movies or not, because I haven't looked that much into it. But have there been any kind of like tokusatsu movies that you would recommend or have enjoyed?
Well, typically, Super Sentai also follows the same production as Kamen Rider, where they'll have like the summer movie, the crossover movie, the winter movie, and stuff like that. So they haven't been doing crossovers that much recently, but for the most part, they still do. Tokusatsu movies, those are harder to like recommend generally, just because you kind of have to know the show that you're watching the movie for to really get into it. For the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, I really liked Shin Ultraman. I think that was just a lot of fun for its own thing. And I even watched it with someone who knew like nothing about Tokusatsu or Ultraman. Like they just knew nothing about it, but they liked Shin Ultraman a lot, and I got good sentiments from that. Shin Godzilla is another good one. I watched that with my best friend who didn't know anything about Tokusatsu either, and he seemed to have a lot of fun, at least when Godzilla was on screen. And Shin Godzilla is one of my favorite just movies in general. I like it. I love it so much. But Pacific Rim,
yes!
Coincidentally, today's its 10th anniversary.
Yes, it is!
So, yeah, Pacific Rim, one of my favorite just movies ever. It is... Oh my gosh, that is like the mirror tokusatsu movie to watch and recommend. Giant monsters, giant robots, with a basic enough story, but still a really good story to follow. It is a fantastic movie. But if you want to delve more deeper into like the Kamen Rider Super Sentai big three movies, then Heisei Generations, the first one, is one of my favorite Rider movies of all time. of the crossover and just focusing on these handful of characters that are crossing over. It is so well balanced. The action is some of the best they've had, and I just love the sentiment of gathering the Heisei writers for the celebration of the Heisei season or the Heisei legacy as a whole. It is so good. The other Heisei Generations movies, they're okay. I don't mind them, but Generations, the original, is like the movie for me. Super Sentai, I can't really say much about. They're like 30-minute quote unquote movies, or they're basically an episode.
Almost like
so you
OVAs
can't really say much about them. Yeah, they're basically OVAs. They're most of the time they don't really connect to the main show. They just kind of like do their own thing for a movie for like 30 minutes, which is kind of funny. The Kyoryuger movie, though, I thought was fun, and it does connect to the show, which makes it even better or adds bonus points. But the Kyoryuger movie, it is like the embodiment of Kyoryuger itself. It is so fun. It is actually balanced pretty well, and the action probably peak Super Sentai. It is way up there. Cure Major too. I will say Cure Major is another very, very good movie. Oh, and last one. I haven't talked about this much, but I actually really, really love the Toku 7 movie. It takes place after the show, so I won't spoil anything. But it is a very, very good like reunion / send off movie to finish off Tokuger, and it is beautiful. I love the Toku 7 movie. I barely talked about that on the channel, which is ironic, but it is one of my favorite Toku movies ever. Garo also has good movies. I don't think I have to say much else, but they're also very good. Very, very in line with Garo. Highly recommend.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's awesome.
I'll have to check out the Tokuger one. Yeah, I watched the Heisei's Generation forever. I think that was like the first movie I didn't know anything about what was going on, but just the action and like the story was really cool to watch. And then I watched the Kamen Rider Ghost. What is it? The 100 Icon one? That one was a really good one. I know you... it seems like you weren't too big of a fan of Ghost in general.
Not really.
I see, like, I really enjoyed it a lot. I don't know, and Takeru for me is still a good writer. He is kind of boring at times, but that movie, I think, hit me a little bit more than the show. I was like, man, and you put in your video, you're like, Ghost can't eat dinner. I was like, man, that's such a good line. I'll have to check out more of the movies.
I haven't watched any of them. The only ones that I bought recently, and I say recently, like maybe within the last 5 years, it's because they just had them randomly at Walmart. It was an Ultraman Geed and Ultraman X movie. And just never got around to watching them just because I was like, oh, cool. Then after looking them up, I'm like, oh, they're part of a series. Well, I think I need to watch the series beforehand. I don't want to be left out of the loop. But have you ever watched the Saint Seiya or heard about the new movie?
Oh yeah, I have heard of it. The live action, what was it, Knights of the ZODIAC?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think. Yeah, I actually there was a poster for that at my local movie theater, and I didn't realize it until I saw it on Twitter and it said Knights of the ZODIAC, and I was like, oh, that's a Saint Seiya movie? I did not know that. And yeah, unfortunately, I missed the timing for that because it was only like a day or two or something, so I wasn't able to watch it. It looks incredibly corny, even for Toku standards. But man, I would have actually liked to watch that in theaters. It does look like it'd be a theater experience.
It looks like it's actually available on streaming now, so I plan on getting around to watching it soon.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I had one last question. I don't know about you Christian, but my question is, have you ever heard of the show Samurai Flamenco?
Yeah, I've been recommended that quite a bit, especially back when I was doing more anime reviews. I was recommended it, and I tried watching it. I swear I tried like 5 times, but it just didn't really grab me. I get the Toku references. I've seen the clips on Twitter, and they are fun, but I don't know. I guess it's just not for me. I just can't really sit down and watch it and enjoy it.
I completely get it. I think I'm one of the few outliers who actually really enjoyed it. Even among my other anime friend group, they don't seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's in that weird spot. Like, it's not Toku enough for me, and it's too anime for me, which is even more ironic. So
that makes sense. That makes total sense.
But yeah, I don't really have anything else. Marco, thank you for coming. It's really cool to have you on the podcast. I don't even care if you advertise this or not. it's just cool to have you on here.
Oh,
Yeah, seriously, thank you for being on here. It's really, really nice to talk to other people about this besides Christian, because he can be so annoying sometimes. Kidding.
Yeah, this podcast.
no. Oh no! Thank you guys, Christian and Sean. Ironically, I don't get invited to a lot of podcasts in the first place, so it's really cool that I get to talk more about this stuff too, without a script, because I can barely talk without a script. But with you guys, it's been really natural. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad to hear it.
When Sean tweeted you on our page, I was like, oh, he's probably not going to see it. And then you responded within like the first 5 minutes, and I was like, hold on, this just got real. Like, it was so cool.
He really did. He freaked out on me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've been a long-time fan for like the past year or two, and I was like, man, like his channel's just so well put together. And I was like, I just came up, I'm like, maybe we can interview him, see, shoot our shot.
Oh wow. I'll keep that in mind, because I feel like I'm the most disorganized person in the world.
Not at all,
Far
dude.
from it.
You've got really... I mean, granted, you did say you had a team of writers, but I'm fairly certain, and you can either, say yes or no to this, I'm certain you definitely contribute to that as well, so you're definitely more well-regarded when it comes to this stuff than we are.
Oh, thank you. I do want more content creators out there for Tokusatsu. I want Toku to be more known out there, so it's good to have more people put their thoughts out and have a podcast or a video, or even just talk about it on Twitter. Like every other tweet counts, or every tweet counts. So I do enjoy seeing that there's more people that are willing to talk about Tokusatsu like this.
Hear, hear.
Yep. Well, yeah. Thank you guys. I think that's it. Thank you guys for coming or listening. If you have any comments, please let us know below. Marco, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, this is Sean, a.k.a. Kensuketi.
This is Chris, a.k.a. Cadabra Chris. See ya. And
Marcosatsu.
There you go. And he'll just type M. He'll just type M on your tweets if he ends up following you.
M.
All right. Take care, everyone.